Hi, everybody. I feel like a kid in a candy shop. I want to come back for all the classes. But one thing I can say is that a lot of the classes that we take are things that we touch on from our own education, things we look back on and say, gee, I never took that course in history or music or Native American, whatever. All of those things are part of our lifelong learning. And I can give you something that'll take you outside the box, even further. No, not distance-wise further than Warren's thinking about extrasolar planets. But what I'm thinking about is future-oriented as well, even further than the election. So I'm thinking out the box, and for astrobiology, nobody is an expert. I am a marine biologist that studied at Berkeley. I worked on mudflat snails that came to California as an invasive species on the Transcontinental Railroad. So how did I end up working with NASA? Because they'll let anyone in. And so the point is it's very, very interdisciplinary. And I work with theologians, ethicists, lawyers, engineers. Fashion designers think spacesuits, you've got to make something that works. So the interdisciplinarity in the things that I do is fascinating. And also, I would say it's backward looking and forward at the same time. It allows all of us to learn about the latest things so that we can discuss STEM learning with our grandkids and others and really be on top of things and in a very factual basis. So this is an interdisciplinary course. It's looking at things like United Nations treaties, the Outer Space Treaty, and literally on tomorrow, got to go home and finish those slides. Tomorrow I'm at a meeting talking about environmental management on the moon. But you know that there is no environmental management set of rules and regulations for the moon. And there are over 100 countries that are signatory of the Outer Space Treaty. So how do you sit down and talk about that? Especially when there's no life on the moon, and all of our laws and regulations are based on sustainability that includes us, very anthropomorphic. And if you think about Mars and you think about discovering life, well, that's just a microbe. So what? Well, does that mean that Mars belongs to Martians if they're up there, as Carl Sagan said? What is the value of microbes? I've stepped on them, I've taken antibiotics, I'm a killer. How do we build that into our legal systems for things that look so far forward? So what I am trying to do in this course is bring in case examples, and they're very real case examples. As I said, the United Nations treaties, laws and policies about how we do things, ethics, theological implications of discovering new life and deliberately modifying future life, sending them out there into settlements or terraforming another planet. They are really problems that have to do with risk and decision-making and today's best science and good intentions about what we do here on Earth and what we do someplace else. So definitely all these other courses are great, but if you can only think about one course, I may do it all. Astrobiology really gives you a chance to understand some very up-to-date science, gives you a chance to look across a lot of different disciplines and think about decision-making and risk. Risk to us in our culture, risk to our environment, and literally humankind's future. So I do a blend of lectures with decision-making, case examples. And the case examples I can draw on are things like exploration and discovery of life, long-term settlement and geoengineering, climatary change, Mars sample return. Where do you bring the samples back? That's how I started in this. What do you do if you're bringing something back and there's life in it? Astronaut health, if anyone's read Scott Kelly's book about what it's like to be up there, and even near-Earth objects. It was Berkeley, Alvarez, who said that the asteroids wiped out the dinosaurs. Should we push them away if they're coming towards us? And that's really something that's going on, and there's decision-making that's gone up to the UN. So this is a blend of materials. It's designed for people who like to look for patterns and who like to follow things that are happening in the real world, who can apply their backgrounds. And so I want as many backgrounds as I can. I love having lawyers, theologians, political scientists, historians, Native American cultures, and think about the future. And the times that we consider are times that run from years to decades, decades to centuries, centuries to millennia, and bigger. And so when we think about decision-making, and I will also invite in some guests that work in areas, maybe I should talk to you afterwards, work on some of these things. It's the leading edge of the science that I never took in school. So I invite you to consider this astrobiology course. It won't be a lecture course, and it will definitely give you something to talk about that will impress your friends and grandkids. Thanks.